G-Man, that there's T-Money out in L.A. Running them wild out there. T-Money checking out the Chargers, checking out the Rams on site there on his road trip. Welcome to the August 3rd Father, Son, and Holy Sport weekly podcast. It's the third straight day in pads. T-Money, they're out there with the pads on. We already got a man down, a big man down in Denver. Tim Patrick's down, and he's out for the season with that ACL. And hey, happy birthday to Tom Brady on the good side of things. Tom Brady, happy birthday. Tom turns 45 today. Hey, how about that, T-Money?
Pretty crazy stuff. Yeah, a lot of injuries. We'll talk about some. It's great to see some people hitting in pads now, ready for the season to kick off. And I just can't wait, man. Ready for some fantasy, some hits, big scores, big games. This is just going to be a blast.
Hey, all right, I like that. Hey, if you all like what you're seeing with us every week, come on, press that like and subscribe. We appreciate your support. I'm G-Man. I got T-Money here with me, bringing you football energy with the August 3rd edition of the NFL Rundown, special segment of the Father, Son, and Holy Sport Network, and brought to you by our friends at Woundwise IQ. Hey, T-Money, we're going to start this off. We're going to stay out west with you, man. You like that California scene out there? Going to San Francisco, talking about Deebo, man. What about Deebo? Got the pay raise. What do you think? Good deal? Did he deserve it? What do you think?
Yeah, I was a little nervous this wouldn't get done because, he only had really one outstanding year, which was this past year, and it was outstanding, and he's 26 years old. So he's a relatively young guy, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. Now, I am very glad that it got done. I think he deserved it. I think he's a special talent if he can stay healthy. So I got the 49ers being reserved about getting something long-term with him because he hasn't been able to stay healthy in the past. But he deserved this deal. Great deal for him. Huge amount of guarantees, 3-year deal. He gets to come back on the market when he's 29. So he's got to feel good about that. Maybe get another second payday. But he deserved this. Third most total yards last year, 1,845. I mean, it's just outstanding behind Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp, who both just ran away with everything else. Seventh most touchdowns with 14 and second most for any wide receiver. The guy's just so perfect for Shanahan in that offense and dynamic enough to run the ball and catch the ball. I think he totally deserved it. I think he's a special player and excited to see what Shanahan and Trey Lance can do with this guy now that he's got a second year healthy.
Holy cow, I totally agree with you, man. Totally agree with you. The guy gets the big deal. He should get the big deal. The guy's an offensive machine, man. You got to give him the cash. All these receivers, you can see Deebo behind me with some of the other big guys that are winning contracts. Hey, he deserved it, man. First player in league history. I love these league history leaders to gain 1,400 yards receiving and rush for 8 touchdowns in the same season. That rushing receiving combination that's so special that we're all looking for. He's got it, man. There was a question on whether he wanted to continue to be that runner, that he just wanted to be a receiver. And there was a lot of, smoke about all of that. But in the end, I just thought today, he said, hey, he wants to play. He's open to playing the same role.
Yeah, I think that was just a negotiating tactic for one. And two, if you look at the fine print of his contract, he actually has bonuses in them. He has like a $600,000 bonus if he hits a certain amount of rushing yards. He has another like $150,000 bonus if he hits a certain amount of rushing touchdowns. He's going to want that money. And I think it was all a negotiating ploy because he wanted to get paid like a wide receiver and not like a running back, right? And I think that was where he was nervous about them saying, well, you're kind of a running back who plays receiver, where he thinks he's a receiver who sometimes plays running back. So I think he's totally fine with that. And, he got his money now. So he's going to he'll take all the beating. He'll do everything. What do you have? 58 million guaranteed. So that's, even if he's injured, he's got 58 million. So I think he's for sure going to play the same role.
I think his targets will go down. I think Ayuk will be more healthy this year, more healthy mentally and physically. I think Ayuk will play more of a role. And I think his running may go down with Trey Lance at the quarterback. Yes. So his production may come down a little bit, but the guy's still a stud.
Totally agree. It might come down a little bit, but I think it's just going to be another dynamic year with Kyle Shanahan and Trey Lance, there under helm. So going to be fun to watch, but let's move on to another guy on your background there. Another big time receiver who got a payday. DK Metcalf gets a very similar deal, 3 years, $72 million. Should the Seahawks have given him that deal, or what? Or should they have traded him? Gee,
Definitely give him the deal. Are you crazy? Look at the depth chart on this team, man. With it, Tyler Lockett goes down. All there is DK Metcalf. They got to pay him. Metcalf's only 24. He's younger than all these guys behind me. He's the youngest guy of all these receivers that are getting money. So, hey, man, this guy's worth it. He's got the stats to back it all up. There are 10 receivers this year who got a new deal.
yeah,
Averaging at least $20 million a year. There was only 4 at the end of last year. Now there's 10. Okay, so he's one of those. The market's exploding for these receivers behind me. And DK Metcalf just got a 3-year extension worth $72 million on Friday.
yeah. Hey, I actually think they should have traded him. That's where my head's at. Now,
how does that help Seattle?
Does he deserve this deal? 100%. He is insanely talented. He looks like a Greek god when he takes his shirt off. He's faster than Tyreek Hill, but at the same time, bigger than a middle linebacker. Like he's
reminds me of T-Money back in college, kind of that freaky body, you know?
Yeah. Freaky in disgusting terms, not in Greek goddess terms. I appreciate that. No, the guy deserved the deal 100%, but I think he should have been traded, sort of like AJ Brown was, where Titans didn't want to pay him. And so they trade him, get assets back, and AJ Brown gets his new deal. Seahawks are in a total rebuild. Their defense is utterly horrible, was all-time worst pass defense last year, one of the worst in NFL history. Their offensive line is atrocious, and now their quarterback room consists of Geno Smith and Drew Lock. How do you rebuild? You got to trade assets to get draft picks. They need to get younger. Yes. They need to have first-round picks. They need to restock the cupboard here. Tyler Lockett is fine. He's a good enough. He's like a Brandon Cooks. He can be a number 1 receiver on a bad team and not be, he's produced before DK Metcalf got there. I think they just should have traded. I could have gotten 2 firsts for DK Metcalf. He's that young, that special, and that could extremely in the big QB draft this next year. They can go up and get CJ Stroud or Bryce Young or someone like that. Like that's what they need to do is restock the cupboard, get younger at quarterback, get offensive linemen in there, and they need a rebuild there. They do. And the only way to do that's to trade assets. And I just think DK Metcalf was your biggest asset. And now he's locked up. He's not going to be able to get yards, and he's going to be unhappy with Drew Lock throwing balls into the ground at his feet. I just think,
hey, I thought the question was to me. I mean, you can get, you just went on and on there. No, I agree with your point there. I agree with your point. That's a good point you're making. I don't know though. I'm thinking about if I'm Seattle, I want to win. Okay, am I going to rebuild and win 3 years from now? Yeah, I want to win. Why am I a coach or general manager if I'm not trying to win games?
Well, I agree. I agree with you. Okay. There's a difference. Coaches and teams and coaches and players don't ever tank. They always want to win. But an owner and a GM got to make a conscious decision on when they need to restock the cupboard and when they need to rebuild. That's a little bit different.
I don't know that Tennessee made the right move there with AJ. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I disagree with that one. I disagree with that one.
Well, you're saying that strategy is the way to go, though.
Yeah, but Tennessee was the number 1 seed last year. They should have kept that team together. Whereas Seahawks are going to be horrible this year, regardless if DK's on their team or not.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think,
I'm just more right. Yeah, I know what you mean.
You gotta go for wins. You can't go for wins 3 years from now.
You're not disagreeing, but I'm more right. I agree with you.
No, I'm not really saying that. But hey, did you know Metcalf's one of 4 receivers who got a huge extension? 3 of them are behind me. Deebo, AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin's the 4th one. Terry McLaurin from that 2019 draft class. Those 4 guys. Metcalf got the best contract on all 4 of them. So they went after him. Seattle did. Now they got to focus on Tyler Lockett, make sure that he's nice and secure too, and they'll have 2 good receivers there for next year when they bring in that quarterback.
All right.
Hey, let's talk about a quarterback. Let's talk about Tom Brady down there, Tampa. He lost his center this week. We talked about guys going out, and the center, Ryan Jensen's out for the season, or not out for the season. He's out for several months, it's thought. What do you think? Ryan Jensen out? How's that going to hurt Tom Brady and the Bucs?
Yeah, I think this is a very big deal. Tom Brady doesn't do well under pressure. We know that. We've seen him with bad O-lines. He can survive mediocre receiver course, mediocre.
You see him when he runs,
ends.
it's so funny.
Yeah, mediocre running backs. Like, he's been through the Patriots system and typically had a very, very good offensive line and subpar weapons. And these guys are winning Super Bowls. I think this is a big deal. Ryan Jensen was one of the best centers I think he was graded the best center in the NFL last year, and was the first person Brady texted that was a free agent this year when he came out of retirement, his fake retirement. I think this is a very big deal. Brady likes to step up in the pocket, and he doesn't really run around. He steps up into it, and that center position is important to him. He's sort of the director and quarterback of the offensive line. I think this is a huge deal. I think this drops a win or two out of their win-loss column. I really do think this is a very, very big deal.
Oh, I totally disagree. That is not a big deal. This is nothing, my man. Nothing to get worried about. Temper down. It's Tommy Brady, man. TP12, baby. Come on. One of the best players in history. This is nothing. If this would happen during the regular season and they would have lost him suddenly, okay, but they got all this time to prepare the new guy to get in there, get used to Tom. Hey, I don't care if I tap you on the inner thigh, I'm the quarterback, you're the center. I tap you twice on the inner thigh, and you know that means give me the ball right now. I'm gonna teach the new guy that.
All right.
The new guy's gonna know that too. Hey, man, he's got plenty of time here.
I think he's still going to make the playoffs. I think he's still going to have a solid year. I just think in the playoffs, when you're going up against Aaron Donald or Nick Bosa or some of these other elite D tackles and defensive linemen, that's when this is going to matter. I think these elite guys that they're going to face in the playoffs, the division's horrible. Brady's good enough to make the playoffs regardless of the division. I think they're going to be fine. Their weapons are insane, but I think this is a big deal come playoff time. And that's where losing his best offensive lineman at his personal most crucial position. It's not left tackle for Brady. It's his center. I think that's why this is a big deal in the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs.
That's going to create some pressure up the middle of that pocket. There are going to be people coming up the middle of that pocket that would not have come up, putting some pressure on Tom. The word on the street, though, Jensen's back probably in December. So it'd be just in time for a nice little run. December 5th, they play the Saints, and then the 49ers on the 11th, and then the Bengals. So he gets back there after the Browns game on November 27, after Thanksgiving. If he gets back then, they still got, some games there before the playoffs.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my thought, man.
All right. Well, let me switch over to the Dallas Cowboys here. Jerry Jones recently was quoted saying Zeke should be the focus of the offense this year. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree with Mr. Jerry Jones here?
Well, Jones, I think, said he should be the focus of the run game. And Emmitt Smith came out today or yesterday and said he should be the focus of the whole offense. So the answer is no. Dak is the focus of that offense, man. Dak is the guy that needs to throw the ball, and Dak needs to run the ball like Josh Allen. Start running it, Dak. Hey, if you're healthy, baby, get it down the field. Start running. I think Dak is the key to that offense, making it go. Spread the run game around. Zeke's awesome, but let's save him. Let's work him. Let's work Pollard in there. Let's let Dak run a little bit. Spread that run game out.
So I get what you're saying, and I agree with your points. Dak needs to run more.
So you think that I'm better? My answer is better than yours.
But I just think. So let me say that I think that the focus of the offense should be the run game. So if that makes, I don't think the focus should be Dak. Dak's best years are when the run game is best. Now, in the past, that typically has meant Zeke is insane like he was the first few years when he got into the league. I think they need to be careful with Zeke, not overdo it. I think he needs to be a focus of the run game, but not have too much load of the run game, if that makes sense. So I like having Pollard come in, the thunder and lightning, that's all great. And then come playoff time, it's all Zeke.
Well,
and in
Emmett
the big
Smith
games,
saying
it's all Zeke.
Emmett Smith saying Zeke should be the first, second, and third down back.
And at times, I think he should be. That's what I'm saying. In big games and in the playoffs, he should be. But save him for those times. Save him for the big fourth quarters by using Pollard in the workload in easier games, because Dak is best when the run game is best. And so that's why I think, yes, both of those are right. Jerry Jones saying the run game should be the focus. Check. And I think that Emmitt Smith saying Zeke should be the focus of the run game, I agree with, but in certain spots. And so use Pollard to save him when games are out of touch, or just, in the first few quarters, things like that.
Hey, Zeke's 27, still in his prime.
Yeah.
People don't know this, but Pollard's only 25. So Pollard still got a lot of in the tank there.
Yeah.
Hey, did you know who Pollard was in the backfield with in college? He ran for college. He ran for Memphis. Do you know who his backfield teammate was his junior year?
Was that Gibson?
Darrell Henderson from the Rams.
Darrell Henderson. Okay.
Henderson and Pollard in that same backfield in your American Athletic Conference,
I
man.
know,
There
dynamic,
you go.
dynamic.
T-Money. Hey, let's go on to talk about another ex-college guy, Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett coming out of Pittsburgh and went to Pittsburgh. He's now with Pittsburgh in the NFL, the Steelers. What do you think, man? We hear he's having a tough training camp so far, but it's early. Do the Steelers regret drafting him?
I kind of think they do. I do, especially as we get closer to this next draft now, people, and through this next college football season. I think people are going to see how deep this class goes. Yes, I know the prizes are CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, but there are 6 or 7 pretty solid quarterbacks that might have been the number one guy off the board this past year. And so if you're talking about Pittsburgh, who probably won't be as good as last year, had the 22nd pick, I think it was. If they have the 20th pick, the 18th pick this upcoming draft, could they have gotten a guy that's better than Pickett? And right now, Mitch Trubisky's the starter anyway. I think they are regretting it, especially with supposedly Mitch Trubisky is now, I believe, 0 for 22 or something like that in his last 22 red zone passes in training camp, which is not a good sign, and because he's a bad quarterback. And Kenny Pickett's getting beat out by Mitch Trubisky right now. And so everyone's struggling in that quarterback room. And to see how deep this next quarterback class is, I think the Steelers are regretting it. They could have easily got a guy better than Pickett and still gotten a guy this next year. I think they're going to be a little frustrated going into next year and then into that draft next year as well.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. So they took a shot at it. Those quarterbacks kept falling down the board. They probably thought, hey, this is a good deal. But that's not going to be the answer. Pickett just not doing it. People had doubts about him when he was drafted. And they still kind of took a chance on him to see if he would develop. Still early, though. Still early. I'm going to give you a little shout out, Kenny Pickett. Come on, Kenny. Pick it up, baby. The job's yours if you can do it. Come on, man.
Kenny, pick it up. All right. Kenny, pick it up. I get it. Let me say this. I do think he should get a year. I like to give every rookie a year unless it sounds like they're just horrendous. 1. 2, I don't think it has anything to do with his small hand size. I think that's way overblown. And 3, they should have taken Desmond Ridder. He was the best quarterback in the class.
Oh, there's your inside. Yeah, there's your inside. We're going to see. We're going to see about that. We'll see what Desmond Ridder does this year.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, let's move on to the insane division that is the AFC West. All right. Now, I think everyone agrees that the Chiefs are the best team in that division, and maybe all of the AFC if you're not a big Bills fan. Yeah. But who's the second best team in that division?
Well, Vegas says it's the Broncos or Chargers, not the Raiders, even though the Raiders were second last year, made the playoffs, and the other 2 teams didn't. The Raiders out of Vegas are 4th in that division, and the other 2 teams have now passed them up. So I'm going to look at those other two teams. I'm going to assume Vegas probably knows something that we don't know about the Raiders. I'm going to say out of those two other teams, I'm going Denver, man. I like the Broncos here. They had the best defense in the division. Well, they're the best defense in the division last year. Look at their defensive stats, and they made it even better. They got a better defense. They bring in edge rusher Randy Gregory. They bring in defensive tackle DJ Jones, and they bring in slot cornerback Kawan Williams. So they bring in they bolster the defense. That defense was stifling at times. Yeah. Now they bring in Green Bay's OC, and the Green Bay's OC now that coached Aaron Rodgers now picks up the offense. And you know they got the running backs, okay? So now they got Russell. Russell, you're not seeing stuff out of Russell like you're seeing some of these other quarterbacks. Russ is a leader out there. He's bringing leadership on and off the field. They got the total package here, man.
All right. Hey, I disagree. I think that Russell Wilson is a little overrated at times, even though I like him. I think it's clearly the Chargers. I think they blew that. I think they blew that game at the end of the year versus the Raiders, or else they would have been in the playoffs.
Chargers plus 220, Broncos plus 260. They're really close in Vegas.
Yeah. So I just think you want to talk about additions. That Chargers defense was pretty dang good, and they were missing Derwin James. They bring him back, who's supposed to be one of the best safeties in the game. They go get J.C. Jackson from the Patriots, who was the most sought after corner in the free agent market. He gets a huge deal. And they trade for Khalil Mack with Joey Bosa on the other side.
Ooh, that's vicious.
It's a vicious defense. You want to talk about a guy that Herbert's shattering every record for first and second year quarterbacks right now. And he has Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. They brought in Gerald Everett, great pass catching tight end. They already have Austin Eckler in the backfield, and their offensive line is growing to be one of the best in the NFL. I love everything about the Chargers and the direction they're headed. I think that they are no question to me the second best team in this division. I personally don't think it's close.
I don't think so, my man. I don't think so. Plus, the Broncos got Formula One star Lewis Hamilton to join the Broncos ownership group. So this is like the cool franchise now. They got cool leadership, cool owners, and they got Russ. Okay, so this is going to be kind of cool out there, man. The fans are into it.
Should we put a beer wager on it then? Who gets second beer wager?
Sure.
Loser buys a beer there. All right. Deal.
Hey, do you know who won the Chiefs won the last 6 division titles? You know who won the 5 before that? It was all Denver Broncos, capped off by that run by Peyton Manning, but he was not the MVP of that Super Bowl that the Broncos won back in 2015. You know what the MVP was?
Von Miller.
Von Miller, a name that's been circulating here lately, man. Von Miller was the MVP of that last great Broncos team. So they could be back. That's what they're thinking. Hey, you know what, though? Wrapping this one up, and the best bet in Vegas, I still think, is the Raiders. They're 6-1. I mean, 6-1. The other team's 2 to 3 to 1. Raiders 6-1 to win that division. I think that's a good bet right there.
All right.
But hey, final surprise question for you. I mentioned Tom Brady's birthday today. Tom turns 45. And in Vegas, he's third right now. He's third in line to win the MVP this year, ahead of what 2 quarterbacks, or who's ahead of Tom Brady for the MVP?
Mahomes and Allen.
Mahomes and Allen, and then there's Brady, and then there's your buddy
Burrow and
Justin Herbert and Rodgers and Herbert. And then he's first in line for passing yards title. Last year won by Tom Brady. Tom's supposed to win it again. Who's second and third, man?
I would assume Allen and Mahomes.
Herbert second. Stafford third for the passing yards title. Hey, there you are, team. I did a little bit of trivia for you there.
All right.
Hey, we hope you are loving the NFL Rundown special segment brought to you by Father, Son, and Holy Sport Network. If you're interested in being a guest on the rundown, we'd love to have you reach out to us. You can find us at Father, Son, and Holy Sport.com. But if you go to WoundWiseIQ.com, you'll find our sponsor, WoundWise IQ, a patented mobile analytics software app that automatically measures and analyzes chronic and surgical wounds. Just download the app from the App Store. You're ready to go, man. Learn more. WoundWiseIQ.com. If you love the show like we love you, press the like and subscribe. Look for other segments and shows and clips where you play your podcasts. And check us out, man, as we roll our way into the season in the coming weeks. Start watching us, man. On behalf of T-Money, I'm G-Man. We'll see you next week for the next run of the NFL Rundown.
All right. Peace. Sweet. Let's move on here to the Chug and Chant.
Okay. Hey, I'm G-Man. I have T-Money here with me from California, bringing you sports energy in the August 3rd edition of the Chug and Chant special segment of the Father, Son, and Holy Sport Network. Hey, y'all do us a favor, press that like and subscribe. We appreciate your support. And it's time to move to Randy, cousin Randy. This week's Chug and Chant brought to you by, well, we're going to see where he's coming from. Let's go to Randy.
Hey, welcome into this week's Chug and Chant. Cousin Randy coming to you live from Venice, baby. Let me get into this. I got a Southwest team I got to come at. The owner, joke. Everyone else, joke. Let me chug. Then I'll chant for you. All right, Cardinals Nation. I'm sorry. You're a joke. Your franchise is a joke. Your owner's a joke. Your manager, your management, joke. Everyone, GM, I don't care. What the heck are they doing with Kyler Murray? First, they put that thing in the contract about him having to study because they don't trust him, rightfully so. And then they make an explanation. We didn't think it would get out and be a distraction when every contract becomes public. Are these guys not thinking? It's a biggest quarterback contract in NFL right now. And then the joke of a franchise continues and takes out the 4 hours a week studying clause. What's happened? You got a little hurt by the media saying that's crazy? Kyler's feelings were hurt? I think they were hurt before you put the clause in. This joke of a franchise is signing Kyler long-term, signing Kingsbury long-term. What have they done? They not even won a playoff game. They got these guys locked up in contracts for this length of time. They don't like to pay people. And when they do, they make jokes of it like they did with Kyler's contract. Not a fan of this Cardinals organization. They're clearly a joke. You shouldn't be excited moving forward with either of these guys at your helm, and especially with whoever the GM and owner are. Joke, joke, joke. I don't even care about the Cardinals anymore. Can we just stop talking about them? They don't even deserve it. G-Man, T-Money, what do you think? Joke or mistake? Or they're just a bunch of idiots there?
Hey, Randy, good day. I love the Venice shirt, my man. I love the Venice shirt.
Yeah.
He's got Venice shown, man. It looked good. And they do not trust him. And rightfully so, he said, T-Money. He said that rightfully so they don't trust him. That was kind of interesting that he stuck that in there. But, hey, I agree with that. I mentioned that last week about the long-term contract for the GM and the head coach. Kingsbury, they both got long-term deals through 2027. I agree with that point, man. They lock these guys in. You know, they're sitting back kind of easy. We got this thing locked up. And, you know, what are they doing?
Yeah, I do agree for the most part. I mean, and don't forget, even before they drafted Kyler Murray, the year before that, they drafted Josh Rosen 10th. So they drafted a QB in the top 10 2 years in a row. Like these guys don't seem to know what they're doing running a franchise. They're choosing defenders that don't fit into their schemes. They're not protecting Kyler on the offensive line. It's just been really, really interesting to see what they're doing. You know, they go get guys like JJ Watt when they had Chandler Jones on their roster and didn't want to sign him. You know, Chandler Jones was performing better than JJ Watt at that point. It's just they make a lot of interesting moves that I think a lot of other smart franchises wouldn't. And this contract just is all of it rolled up into one.
Yeah, well, they've had success. I'm not completely down on them. They have had success, but They have not been able to close the deal in the playoffs, and Kyler's part of that.
Yeah.
Kyler, everybody was questioning Kyler before this contract. Before the contract even happened, people were questioning Kyler. So now people like feel sorry for him. But remember, back before all that happened, we were kind of questioning, whether he was really the guy.
Yeah. I mean, and I think in the end of the day, you want a quarterback more than you don't want a quarterback. And so I get what they're saying, hey, if he improves a little bit in the next 5 years, we might win a playoff game or two. And he has the talent to do that. And they have the talent on that roster to do that. It's just, do you trust him to put in the work to do that? Do you trust that Cliff Kingsbury is a good enough coach to do that? They haven't proven enough to me to get the contracts, even though I understand why they were given the contracts by the team. I just think there were outlandish numbers and years and a lot of faith being put in people that have one playoff game experience where they got absolutely destroyed by the Rams. And so I get to a laughing stock point. So I think it's just a lot of money to invest, and it just doesn't seem like the franchise knows what it wants to do.
Gave him a lot of money, so certainly, they gave him the money. There's no doubt about that. But the question about these clauses in the contract, well, hey, man, I don't know about you, but when I sign a contract, I read my contract.
Yeah.
I would have known those things were in there. All of a sudden, so I'm going to sign the contract, and then after it's over, I'm going to, ridicule the people for giving me the contract. I don't think that's right either.
I agree with you. So Kyler's in the wrong there. And then on top of that, the Cardinals saying, well, we didn't realize everyone would make a big deal out of it. Well, it's public knowledge, all these contracts, and no other quarterback in NFL history has had that put in their contract. So of course this is a big deal when you just assume your franchise quarterback is studying more than 4 hours a week.
Yeah, he's a different kind of guy. There's no doubt. There's been questions, though, about his leadership. Mainly from the Cardinals, but it was reported by ESPN. They were concerned about his leadership. It's just the way that he approaches things, I think, is different. He's the only athlete ever selected in the first round of the NFL and Major League Baseball drafts. I'm an unusual guy, unusually talented, and got caught up in a situation here where, I don't know, he's not getting good advice, or maybe there's just an issue there in the whole teamwork there with that management team. I don't know what it is, man, but I'm worried about this team.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting going forward if that guy is your leader, when he doesn't think film study is important and he thinks he's the best athlete on the field, even though I think Aaron Donald would consider that otherwise when he destroyed you this past playoff season. I mean, just like, I know you've gotten to this point and gotten all this money now doing it your way. Getting to the next level is going to take a different level of commitment than you just showing up to the field and having better gifts than 90% of the people.
Yeah. Yep. I agree, man. They're supposed to make all these changes to turn this franchise around. And it seems like it's getting worse over there. I got the 6-game suspension there for DeAndre Hopkins. The coach seems like he's kind of middle of the road, if that.
Yeah.
And the quarterback's upset, man. And all of that is dysfunction. Yeah. And hey, we're going to see what happens with Arizona as they roll through here into those first few games. We'll see, how they're doing those first few games. Let's see if I got an update here. 2020. They got the Chiefs.
Yeah, they have a tough beginning schedule.
Chiefs, Raiders, Rams coming out of the gates. Yeah. Boy, they better get it going, man. Hey, we hope you love the Chunk and Chant this week. Special segment brought to you by Father and Holy Sport Network. If you're interested in being a sponsor of the Chunk and Chant, or maybe do some chugging with Randy, come on, man. Let us know. You can find us at Father, Son, and Holy Sport.com. You can connect with us, watch our shows, watch our segments. Got a bunch of segments out there for you. Check us out. New website. You can buy merchandise, man. Let's go. Hey, on behalf of T-Money, I'm G-Man. We'll see you next week for another Chunk and Jam.
All right. We'll see you later.